friends, family, card fighters. Today I'm bringing you the first of what will be many Cardfight Vanguard deck profiles. Starting with my all-time favourite deck, Victor. Now this is going to be a G era Victor, no standard cards, no premium build, purely as it was at the end of G, because that's the version of which it was my favourite deck ever. So yeah, let's get into this. As a starter, I run Extreme Battler Carbotron. Its skill is you counterblast, put it into the soul at the end of the battle it boosted, and you stand a regard and give it 2k. It's, as for, G Nova Grapplers, it's pretty generic, but it did it really well, and having that extra stand on a Vanguard swing or something, just, it made the combos a bit stronger and, my preferred. For grade 3s, you play 4 copies of Zubat Battler Victor. One of, in my opinion, 3 cards that made this deck go from good to great. We'll get to the other 2 shortly. Its first skill, its stride bonus skill, is for a counterblast when your G unit strides, you draw a card, call a card from hand to regard, and give a unit, himself included, the skill of on attack, stand a regard. So it's good, add a card to hand, give you a bit more option, extend the attacking combos. It's awesome. Its second skill, which is what really made it good, was at the end of your turn, if the number of face-up cards in your damage zone is 1 or less, countercharge. If the number of cards in your soul is 1 or less, soul charge. And if you countercharged and soul charged, you also draw. So it basically meant no matter what you did, you always ended the turn with at least minimal resources for going into next turn. It meant you were never just out of stuff. So yeah, definite 4. Next, for grade 3s, I run 3 copies of Extreme Battler Victor, the first Victor, purely because I find the build to be a lot more consistent. You could go either way, you could also play excessive, but for me, Extreme Battler is just better, because if you have to stride into Extreme Battler, you can choose the unit, you give the unit 5k, you're not restricted by rush, and to be honest, even when I tried excessive, I never really wanted to call it to regard anyway, so yeah. 3 of, it's good for me. It's just a on attack counterblast standard unit for stride bonus. So yeah. Grade 2s. I play 4 copies of Extreme Battler Shachi. If you have a Vanguard with Victor in its card name, it gets resist and the ability that on attack you can stand a rearguard. So, it's just another restanding unit. And the fact that it has resist means it's, a lot harder to get rid of it, thank God. Its second skill is a once per turn G2 skill. When it stands, it gets to 7k. So, it only happens once, so once you stand it, it becomes a 16k for the rest of turn, not counting any other buffs it may have. So it's good. It's a good 4 of to restand and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, good stuff. Next, I run 3 copies of Ninjard. It's a once per turn skill, GB1. When this unit attacks, you can counterblast. If you have a Vanguard with Victor and its counter, you can counterblast 1, stand a regard, and give it 2k for each face-up card in your G-zone. Which, given the cards available in your G-zone, is, you're often giving when you use it, you're giving 6, 8, 10k the first time you use the skill. So, definitely a good card to have and a good backup to the Gulsachi restander. Then I run 4 copies of Extreme Battler Suzander, and 1 copy of Sever Temper. I like having 5 restanders that gain 5k. Makes it a little bit more consistent than just having the 4. Sever Temper's secondary skill, aside from restanding and getting 5k, is when you drive check a grade 3, you can retire a unit with equal or less power than Sever Temper, which is pretty much everything, once you restand it and whatnot. But personally, I play Suzander over Sever Temper, just because I like Suzander's artwork more, and I just, that second skill doesn't really mean much to me. It's literally, I just love the artwork for Suzander more, and it's basically the same card, so Suzander. Next I play 4 copies, for the grade 1s, 4 copies of Extreme Battler Jared Hawk. Such a good card. Very nice card. Skill is, it's a GB1. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted a rear guard. If you have a Victor Vanguard, you can counterblast 1 and put it into the soul, draw a card, stand the boosted unit, and give it 2k. Which is really good. So, you've drawn, you've put a card in soul to allow stuff to keep going, you've stood a unit, you got another attack coming off, and that's... So straight off the bat, you've got 2 attacks from the column this unit's in. Definite 4 of. Must have 3. 4 is a really nice number for me, because I want to see it as often as I can. Next, 3 copies of Extreme Battler Gunston. This is the resist giver for the deck, which was very helpful. So once per turn, it's an act skill, once per turn GB1. Rest this unit, choose up to 5 of your rear guards, and give them all resist for the turn. And when this unit, once per turn, when this unit stands due to the effect of a card, he gets 4k for each face-up card in the G-Zone. So again, when you would be doing this and restanding him, you're giving him, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 bursts of 4 with the G-Zone. So you're hitting massive numbers with this guy. So, again, like Jared Hawk, you definitely want 3. You could play 4 if you want, but I'd rather play the extra Jared Hawk, and, yeah, because, yeah, so 3's good for me. Next, around 3 Stride Fighters, pretty self-explanatory. Stride Fighters, you can correct to the right grade 3, it's a grade 3 in hand when discarding. Yeah, there's not a lot to say about them. Then around 4 copies of Lady Cyclone. There is another one, an Extreme Battler one, where you counterblast a draw. That is a complete waste to me. I do not want to pay counterblast just to draw a card ever. And I'd much rather have, the counter charge that I get from Lady Cyclone than drawing a card for a counterblast. So, yeah. Lady Cyclone for me. Then on to my trigger lineup. I run 8 crits. I play 4 copies of Break Pass and 4 copies of Red Lightning. Break Pass is a name crit, goes in the soul, draw a card, give 5k. Red Lightning, go into the soul, counter charge 1. Back in when G was the thing, you'd run the Blau crit over Break Pass just to combat how much Link Joker was around. But I prefer having Break Pass, the artwork and the skill and whatnot, because you counter charge a lot in this deck anyway, and now that Link Joker isn't around all the time, you don't need it. Then I run 4 draws. It's the Margle clone for Novas, into Soul 3k. If you're going to run a draw, you might as well have one with the skill. And then I run 4 copies of Arago Blair Energy, the Tara clone for Nova Grappler. Every clan has one. Everyone who plays the game knows what it does. It's pretty self-explanatory. Onto the G-Zone. I run 1 copy of Winning Champ Victor. This is another card, one of the other cards that made this deck amazing. So when it came out, it was completely game changing for Nova Grapplers. It's So, like with Zubat and one more card in the G-Zone we'll get to, before these cards came out, Nova Grapplers, specifically Victor, was good, wasn't great. You could take it to a tournament, maybe get a win here or there, but you were nowhere near the top of the mountain. Then these cards came out and boom. You know, there was like 2 decks in the meta that could take them on and everyone else was just like, nah, can't do it. So yeah, skill is Soul Blast 1, when a rear guard stands, you can Soul Blast 1 and flip a G unit, give that unit and this unit 5k. Which is where the high G count comes from. Because you could do this skill, 3, 4, 5 times the turn you start it. The second skill is a Vanguard G3. At the end of the battle attack, draw a card and retire the opponent's rear guard with the least amount of power. So, yeah. Definite one. Just definite. Secondly, I play 1 copy of Universe Ace Buster Ed. It came out 2019 premium set? Yeah. So the reaction to this wasn't as big as the one for Winning Champ, purely because we had already had Winning Champ for like almost 2 years at that point. But Buster Ed is just as good in that it's basically the same skill. When your rear guard stands, Soul Blast 1, turn a G-Zone, card in the G-Zone face up. This one gets a drive +1. So instead of giving units power, you increase its unit's drive. And second skill is at the end of the battle it attacked. If this unit's drive is 5 or more, discard 3, stand this unit, and it loses 5 checks. Now, that's awesome. Yeah, you're losing 5 checks, but if you have the right cards and you can pull off the right combo, I've managed to get this to, on attack, once all the skills and stuff are done, have drive check 8, then restand and check another 3. So, like, yeah, you're adding 8 cards to hand after the discard cost. So, it's so good. You get just as many combo hits. You get an additional attack with the Vanguard. You check a lot of cards. It's just as good in a slightly different way. So yeah, definitely one of those, one of each. And then I play 1 favorite champ, Victor, who's the big bad ultimate I will knock you around boss of the deck. You only play 1 because you only need 1. You go into this guy, you're gonna win 9 out of 10 times. If you don't win using this guy, your opponent deserves to win, because they either defended to the point where they stopped up to 12 attacks, maybe even 15 if you're really lucky with the right cards and stuff. But so the skill is GB2, Counterblast 2, discard a card. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked. You may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to the same number of rear guards. That's the number of face-up cards you choose and stand them. If 3 or more rear guards were stood, you can discard 3 more cards, countercharge 1, stand this unit, and it loses 2 drive. Now, I remember when this card came out, there was a lot of mixed feelings because it didn't have the next round of support where Zubat and stuff came out. But especially with the final round of support with Zubat and winning and whatnot, this card went from, if you can pull it off, to, oh my god, this card will win every time. Because if you have 3 damage, you can still pull off if you have 3 face-up damage, you can restand him twice. That's how ridiculous it is. So, you need 2 damage to stand him up once. Every damage on top of that is an additional stand. All you need after that is the cards in hand. And with, the drawing power Nova's got and whatnot, it was so easy to do this on the second turn. And you could easily throw 9, 12 attacks at your opponent of increasing power. So yeah, definite one of. He's the big bad boss. I personally, I cannot remember a time that I went into him and lost, because it's that powerhouse. With the deck, with the support the deck got, it became that strong. Next, I run 4 copies of Meteor Kaiser Victor. This is probably the one choice other people might disagree with, because a lot of them would play Buster Red instead. And I totally understand, you know, they want another restander field thing, whatever. But for me, Buster Red's not worth it. Because Buster Red, you know, takes cards from hands, eats a lot of counterblast, a lot of setup. And with that, you might as well just go into favorite champ. So with Meteor Kaiser Victor, you get, for flipping himself face up, you get an on hit restand, a unit give 5k, and an automatic on attack, stand a unit and give it 5k. So you're not discarding any cards, you're not using any counterblast, you're not burning through any resources that you would use for favorite champ or anything later on. You're saving those resources for your rearguard skills and your later Vanguard swings. And it's a safe bet, you know, you can get a little combo out of it, it's pretty good. So for me, it's an easy 4 of over Buster Red. And I run 2 copies of Meteor Kaiser Victor Plasma. He's, you know, counterblast 2, flip, drive -1, on attack. At the end of the battle attack, discard 2 and stand the unit. He's basically there as an emergency, you know. If your hand is gone, you know, because you've had to guard like crazy against a deck like Shiranui, or your board is pointless because you've been playing like a Link Joker, Victoplasma's basically there so you get a restanding unit that's not reliant on rear guards, it's not reliant on, you know, having all this stuff to make it work. It's literally just it's basically G2, counterblast 2, restand. So it gives you one offensive option if you're in no man's land, basically. So yeah, just the 2. Then I play 1 Driger. He's the G8 for Nova Grapplers. His skill is insanely cool. So his skill says, counterblast 1, when this unit attacks, stand all of your rear guards, and they get the skill, when this unit rests, stand this unit. But they can only do it once, and he gets 5k until the end of that battle for each of your rear guards. So through his skill, he gains 25k. At peak, he gains 25k, and if you have a full board, like 2 units in each column, you're getting 2 full column attacks after he attacks. So you're guaranteed, if it's not disrupted, you're guaranteed 7 attacks, plus any more if you have combos to pull. So he's awesome, he fits really well with Novas, he sort of complements Nova Grapplers, and a definite G8 you should play. And because this is a G era deck, Seabreeze, you know, it's a G deck, you know, why not? And then on to G guards, I play 1 Gundreed. He's the G flip unit. When you activate his skill, he gives the Vanguard the ability for the rest of turn that whenever it's attacked and the attack doesn't hit, you countercharge. So he's a decent little resourcer. Yeah, so I just play the 1. And then I play 1 copy of Junior, because if you do hit Extreme Battler instead of Zubat, then he is actually quite useful, because you don't get that end of turn resource. So if you have no damage, you can throw him down, he's a 20k shield and he counter charges 2. Same thing if you have no soul, he soul charges 2 and gets 5k. So if you're not on Zubat, he's a really good resource reset. So just the 1, because if you're on Zubat, you're going to flip him. And then finally play 3 copies of Dog and Titan. This is the 3rd card that made this deck awesome. So between Zubat and winning, you had an offensive turn, which was so good, and a resource at the end of turn, which was amazing. Dog and Titan gave Novas a 25k shield that wasn't reliant on having no resources, and it gave us the ability to turn it face down again for use later, while not only countercharging, but as a unlock if you needed it, instead of the countercharge. So it helped us against Novas, and yeah, I mean Link Jokers, and yeah. So yeah. Definite 3 for me. I wouldn't play less than 3. It's just too good. And so that's that. That's the Victor profile from the end of G, as it was in my favorite form, which is, you know, basically top of the meta sort of thing, with like only like 2, maybe 3 decks up there with it. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. If you're looking to go into G era, I hope it helped. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.